Today we're going to look at an Outpost Rush match in New World. So this is the level 60 20 versus 20 battleground. It's a lot of fun. I run a melee build with Warhammer and Great Axe and a medium armor layout. The armor weights in this game affect two things. They affect how much damage and healing you can do. Well, obviously they affect the mitigation for incoming damage. And then they also affect what your dodge mechanic is. So if you're running heavy armor, which a lot of people like to do, when you dodge, it's just a duck. It doesn't really move your character. I prefer medium weight armor, so I'm right at the limit of 22.9 pounds, and that allows me when I do a dodge to then hop to create some separation. Very useful for getting away. I don't run light armor. I've considered doing it on a melee, but it's really squishy, and if you get crowd controlled, you can just absolutely get melted. I think that the community is correct, broadly speaking, that the Great Axe needs to be nerfed. I'm actually really excited that the lunge that comes with the light attack is getting cut about in half, according to the recent PTR. Because the problem with the light attack is you can just left click and it will both close distance to your opponent as well as damage them, and there's no cooldown. It's terribly broken. I don't play my Great Axe that way. I never have. I haven't become reliant on it, so the nerf is actually going to impact me very little. I tend to favor in fights opening up with my Warhammer once I close. So there, notice I rushed ahead to this central post and put my gravity well right in the doorway. So it's really a race to see who can get in here first, and so we've got control of the middle of this. This gives us a lot of advantages in terms of having our healing and range DPS set up comfortably within the outposts and up on the catwalks, which is, affords them a lot of safety and room to maneuver. Now, as far as Warhammer is concerned, a lot of players use an ability called Path of Destiny. So that's a tonal AoE. It does a stagger effect, which basically momentarily causes loss of control of your character and interrupts whatever you were doing. I actually don't prefer using that ability. It's getting nerfed in the next update anyway, but I prefer to use instead an ability called Wrecking Ball, which is that really fast pop where you knock an opponent down, and you'll knock down anyone else within 1.5 meters of the place where you fired it. Now that is a pretty small area in terms of the targeting, but I find it to be really reliable in terms of its performance. Now, I died here because I waited too long to get out. I wasn't watching my health well enough in kiting, so you're going to see me pretty much rectify that the rest of the match. And this particular Outpost match, Rush, the reason why I chose it was it's an incredibly competitive game. There's a lot of good illustrative footage about how to handle situations and read the game flow, and then this happened to be one of my personal best games. I ended up leading the match with 29 kills and only 3 deaths. So the goal in this Outpost Rush is to get to 1,000 points. There are 3 control points, and one's near each side spawn, and then the one in the middle, the sun that we were fighting at, and then you also get points for killing opposing players. Now, I was talking a bit earlier, about the armor weights and the weapons. So a lot of people have the stereotype that you can run heavy armor and Great Axe and just kill everything. And the main thing to note about having heavier armor is your damage is going to suck, and you're also not particularly mobile in terms of the dodge mechanic. And so for that reason, I've actually never run heavy armor in PvP. I had hypothesized that if I run medium armor but run with 3 crowd control abilities on my Warhammer, I don't need to worry as much about mitigation because I will be able to CC people and then beat the crap out of them. And the great thing about having the axe as one of the 2 weapons is that it's terrific for distance management, right? So you can close gaps to people, you can create them, and you can use your gravity well to AoE root them. Right back in here, and you can see immediately as soon as I got into the fight, I had my Warhammer, dropped all 3 CCs, we're trying to push them back and bottle up this door. And so they're players that are inside the outpost are less supported. Right? A lot of times, range DPS will often sit outside the outpost and shoot through the doorway, so there's only kind of a limited view that you can get there and watch this. I just rotate my CCs on this particular person because he's carrying a life staff, so he's the healer, and I just want to do whatever I can just to harass him. As a matter of fact, I brush him off so he exits the outpost, and I go ahead and drop a gravity well. Again, you can see we've cleared them out. We don't necessarily have any more numbers than they do. We just did a better job in terms of establishing control in the middle. That's another reason why I play melee. I do this in a lot of MMORPGs, because if you don't have competent melees who are capable of killing things and crowd controlling them, your team's going to get bullied, right? And this happens a lot across any game where you see if one side is predominantly ranged DPS, they have trouble making pushes. And so in a lot of games, you guys have seen me in other games, play like a main assist role where I'll help focus fire targets and call out targets. Now in this particular case, I did queue up with folks in my company. That's the New World Pylons for the guild, but we're not actually in voice comms, and I did that just so I could try to see if I could get a good match here where I could narrate this, post this up on YouTube. I did manage to get a guy who'd been downed, and it was pretty fortunate someone didn't snipe him. In this game, once you are in a down state, you can't take any actions, you're completely helpless, and any damage that hits you will kill you. One of the attacks that the Great Axe has, which has such high utility, is the Reap. So it is an 8-meter pull, and it will temporarily root your opponent once you get close. Now, we have capped mid. You could argue we should push out. There's always the question where you don't want to push out and get picked off, where then your presence in the middle of the outpost becomes weaker. So there's kind of a fine line, because they still have a lot of people who are alive. Right there. That's exactly what I want to do. Drop the grab as soon as they come in. Cycle through my Warhammer AoEs. You can see these guys are just getting obliterated. Go ahead and pick up a kill there. The nice thing about Outpost Rush is that the rewards scale based on your score. Right now there is kind of an issue where the score is too heavily based on who gets the kill. So that's not who downs an opponent, but it's who finishes them. But healing is really highly rewarded, which is good, because healing is often a thankless job in-game, so I'm glad to see they get rewarded well. Go ahead and bottleneck. There's another grapple, and then I pull that player off to the side. One thing you want to try to do, if you can, if you're defending an outpost, if someone comes in, knock them to the side, like we just did here. So you're knocking him away from the door so he can't get out, and then I'm body blocking him just to make sure we're going to be able to get him into a down state and finish him off. So I found that Outpost Rush, you can more than pay for the pot, heal potions and regen potions that you might use. You can also farm the NPCs for Azoth to then buy potions. I don't bother, it's too much of a hassle to do, it's too much downtime. I did pick up 1 kill on a wolf just to get 25 Azoth to be able to buy the battle bread. So the battle bread gives you a 5% damage bonus and increases your damage absorption by 5%. Okay, so far so good. We're building a gradual lead here. You can see the Baroness is going to be up in about 3 minutes. Now right here, I came out thinking they're pretty thin. There's only about 6 people that I see out here. Literally nobody else came with me, right? And so I go back inside. We hadn't actually cleared out mid, so I should have been kind of watching more to see if there's anybody left in mid that we need to get rid of, then push out. But I was hoping originally to push out to brush off their ranged DPS and their healers. As it is, these people who are left in the middle are pretty cut off anyway. So now that we've collapsed middle, we can push out. Now, I make a pretty significant mistake here. I was assuming people were going to come. Only one other person comes, and I get stuck in a grav well. And so I made the mistake of assuming I was going to get support, but the even bigger mistake that I had made was that I burned my charge to close the gap when I exited the outpost, right? And so the issue with that is the charge ability in this game, you don't have to have a target. You can use it to create distance. And so if I'm entering into an uncertain situation where I don't know if I might be at risk of dying, ideally I save my charge in case I needed to exit. So once I got grav-welled, I'm rooted in place, I can't dodge out of it because I'm already in it. The only way that I can get out of that with the weapon skills that I have is with the charge. I didn't have it available, I died. And that's my own fault. Sometimes people get mad like, oh, you know, the healers and other people didn't support us. It's like, well, I always went out the outpost door. Nobody made me do it. Right? So that is on me. Okay, but the good thing is, the thing you want to be careful too is trickling out, dying, getting a res split, thinning out your defense and having them push in all at once. So because they've been on the outside and we've been able to largely kill their players who've come in, we've been able to keep them res split. And now we're able to push out pretty safely because they don't have anyone to keep. There's only a few people here. The thing to keep in mind though, you can see in that upper right hand part of the screen is that the Baroness is going to be coming soon, right? And so you want to make sure that you're in a good position to go help out. Whoever gets the final hit on Baroness will freeze the other team's score. So you can't get points from the outpost that you control or from kills. Really important. So the thing is, sometimes if you go to the fight Baroness, you're going to end up conceding control of mid, especially if they push in. So I'm trying to thin out some of their players here. The tough thing is, at some point, I've just got to make a decision whether I'm going to keep skirmishing here or just go over towards Baroness. But we've got them on the run here a little bit. Use Reap there to pull in DWAP, and it's just such a fantastic tool. Really, I've got two primary tools for closing gaps to people. So I've got actually three. I've got my charge, gravity well, and the Reap ability. Reap's got an 8-meter distance, and here's a great example of how crowd control just wrecks people. So there's a grav well there as well as a stun. Those guys can't even defend themselves. Okay, Baroness is up. Just trying to see if we can pick off any more of these guys here. This, you can see right here, there's a bow. Spear player is super mobile. And it can be pretty hard to sustainably stay on top of them because they regen their stamina a lot faster. They can do a lot more dodge rolls. Their dodge rolls actually physically look like a dodge roll, so they can go a lot further away. And at this point, it's not necessary. We've pushed them far enough off from the sun, the middle outpost, that I can now safely push over towards the Baroness, and we can see if we can get that final hit on her. People can snipe Baroness if you're not careful. Range DPS can just sit in the doorway about where that guy in front of me is, Willow, and shoot the Baron. Even from back here, you can shoot targets from great ranges here. And so one of the things that I want to do is just make sure if any of their players try to push in and get a ninja on the Baroness, is that I am keeping their attention, right? So in that particular case, you can say I use my charge to close the gap there because there are no other red players nearby. I'm not afraid. If it's a 1v1, I can handle myself. If I'm going into a situation where it's a 1v3, I do not charge in. I want to save the charge to do a safe exit. And I'll show a really good example, a clutch example of getting out of trouble later. Okay, so this guy has entered his ice tomb. I go ahead and drop the grav well, so he is rooted as soon as he comes out of it. Then we pick him off. One thing right now about the scoring, which a lot of people have complained of, I don't like this, is that you get rewarded in terms of your score more so for killing opponents as opposed to downing them. And yeah, I think most people would agree it should be the other way around. But it is what it is, and your rewards at the end of the game scale based on your score, so getting things like kill do matter. And I think, for the most part too, if you're a melee, if you're getting kills, it means that you're in a relevant position for the action. It is a lot easier for range players to snipe kills because they can shoot from great distances, and you just need one light attack to land on a downed opponent to get the kill. But here we go, with 3 CCs. Okay, there was one, and that was Sundering Shockwave. Alright, looks like they ninja'd Baron. So remember I was talking earlier about the ability to snipe it, so they've frozen our score. The thing is, we do control 2 of the 3 points, so even though we're not accruing points, they're only getting points from Star right now. But the important thing is to try to catch these 3 while we can, while they're out in the open. Just going to pull that player in with the Reap, and then use Gravwell, and then come and stun. And this is where I'm cycling through my CCs. You can see right here, this guy cannot even get up from what I'm laying on him. And so those CCs are not high damage, but what I found in a lot of cases, if I drop 3 CCs, those all deal damage. And you can also, if you're in a 1v1 or a small skirmish situation, you can also work in a light or heavy attack in between. So a great thing to do if you can, when you get your Shockwave, the AoE stun, is load up for heavy attack. It takes about like 1.5 seconds or so to fire, but it not only will deal good damage, but it'll also give you an empower buff, at least the way that I have it spent. Now, I've got to be careful here. You're definitely getting a little bit low on hit points. This guy in front of me, respect, this is a healer. A very good player, so I want to do whatever I can to prevent him from getting in there, manage to down him, and then get the kill. Got to be really careful in this game. The one thing which I hope they address is that you can't see when you're standing in AoE, whether it's friendly or enemy. To some extent, you got to pay attention and either watch the damage or healing ticks and figure out if that's yours or theirs. But we're in a little bit of a pickle here. Most of my cooldowns are up. Or rather, my cooldowns are still ticking here. It looks like, okay, we just managed to pull that fight out. There's a really fine balance in this game because you don't want to feed the opposing team, and if you're going to lose a fight, for sure, you know, the best thing you can do is just a careful withdrawal. All right, you don't want to feed them. If that keeps happening with your team, you'll be split, and then it, you know, fights, you'll be outnumbered. But you can see I'm very aggressive burning my cooldowns. In this case here, we pin that player in, he can't get out. And that's part of the beauty of having the collision detection. Alright, so they've summoned a brute. So the brute is an NPC. It looks like a huge demon monster. It hits super hard. It rolls this big meatball boulder, which will deal damage and knock you down. And it also can pull a whole bunch of people together with a massive radius AoE. They're horribly imbalanced right now. I mean, they've really got to get nerfed. It takes an extremely concerted effort to bring it down. And if there are enemy players, it's really hard to try to take down a brute while you're fighting them. So in this particular case here, I definitely overextended here, and I have one CC up. I should probably use it. That was the clear out. That's the AoE knockback. I didn't use it in time. But this is a situation where I should have not stayed in the pocket so long. Just, you know, keeping tabs on how many players there are. You know, if you're a melee, once you have to get close to engage, you're always going to be at the highest risk of getting targeted because you're the nearest thing to them. People hate having melees push on them, and so you just got to be really careful. So we're about halfway up right now in terms of score. I've managed to push my kill count up to 14. The main thing, we've got a problem. They did a great. They did the let's say the tactically smart thing. They summoned a brute on our side of the entrance to the middle, and this is a real pain because one, the brute can block the entrance physically with collision detection. Thankfully, he's not paying attention. And then two, the rolling meatballs and the AoE pulls that he does are super disruptive. And I can't go in there right now. Like, that's the AoE pull right now. I remember, like, someone on Reddit was just saying, oh, you can just avoid it. It's like, it's really hard to not get affected by that stuff if you're in the middle of a fight and trying to like, kill things, right? That was a pretty sad miss there. You know, it's like abilities in New World, you know, if you're not pretty good about the aiming, you're going to miss. It's, you know, to some degree, it's okay. That's just part of how it is. One of my party members is getting beat on here. I come over, it's a little bit too late. He got down, which means he's going to die. And for that matter, I'm actually in a really tough position because I can't actually get out of here. I'm trying to. There we go. I got a couple hops off, and then I try to use charge. Now, the thing about the charge is that it will stop when you collision detect the first friendly or enemy player, right? And I burned all my pots. I should probably really get out. I'm not sure if I stay in here or not, but this is like one of those situations. Yeah, I mean, they're just running around now, mauling anyone who's on my team who's in the middle here. I've got 3 CCs left, so if I want to, I can rotate through these. Yeah, but I gotta get out. It's smart thing to do. Head up the stairs, get away. Okay, so I'm getting up on the stairs now. You can see they've got control of mid. There are no friendlies still alive down there. So I'm trying to keep an eye. And you know, again, I don't want to go down there and throw my life away. I was actually gonna see if I could help this guy, Lord Dizo, but he dies on the stairs. So go ahead and exit. And then get on this range DPS. Demon Lux. Now, a lot of players who play range DPS will go light armor, so they're pretty squishy, but they do it because they get a huge damage and healing bonus, and then they also get a far better dodge mechanic. Some of them are trickling out of the outpost, so you know it's important for us to try to pick off what we can until the brute runs over like this and starts beating people up. I'll be really curious to see what Amazon does. Like you know, some people feel that PvP should be strictly PvP. I'm okay with there being some PvE aspect of this, but just right now, like, having the brutes is like bringing in a boss from a dungeon. That's how strong they are. It's so hard to fight whenever they're around like this. And the thing about the brutes is, if you take them far enough away from where they were summoned, that platform, that glowing blue platform, they'll actually reset, run back, and they'll get all their health back. But really, you know, what you want to try to do when you can is get your team to focus the brute down, because it's really hard. Like, we're not going to make any meaningful progress on trying to take this middle point. See right there, by the way, I just worked in a heavy. This dude, Mayor Moon, was stunned. I go ahead and work it in. of course, lights and heavies, no cooldowns, and this person, I believe, is a healer, but even if he's not, just want to stay on top of him, keep applying pressure, don't let him breathe. And I can't go in safely right now. There's nobody else. If I go in there trying to fight the guys in the middle, they're just going to dogpile. But we're making good progress on taking out some of their players and thinning them out, because once they die, they've got a long run back from their spawn. At this point in the match, like the outcome is pretty much very much uncertain, because they've got a full strength brute and they are well established within the middle. I'm telling people, like, we either should go around to the other door where the brute is not fighting, or we should kill the brute. Drop the grab well on this E-Cream person, pulling him with Reap. You can see, get it down there with Sunder and Shockwave. What's really nice with Shockwave is with it fully upgraded, it's got I think it's a 4-meter radius. It's pretty far. It's very forgiving in terms of hitting targets. All right, so Dragon and I are going to try to pull a diversion. You can see someone already is down by Star Outpost and trying to cap it. Looks I'm up to 20 kills now. This has been a pretty good game. A rough start. I died early because I wasn't paying enough attention, really. I mean, a lot of this as a melee, you have to be able to assess situations. Now, you can see they're recapping Star, so whoever is here, this guy Lord Dizo, he's getting run off. The Dragon are here, so we can take out one of them. Look at this. 3 CCs in a row. Mamu can't do anything. I pull him in with Reap with the Great Axe, and then we finish him off. Such an amazing set of tools on the Warhammer. Again, I think Wrecking Ball is such an underrated ability. Now, the problem is we're in a 2v4. Make that a 2v5. And so this is going to be difficult for us to kill anything. And the goal really is we're just trying to buy time for our team, keep them thin out in mid, right? Because we've basically caused an overreaction. A bunch of their players came back. I got 2 players down there with the grab well, because the more people are in the grab well, the more damage it does. Some people skip that upgrade. It's like that example right there just showed why it is so worth it. There's no way I would have downed those 2 players if there weren't like 5 of them sitting in it. Okay, in that case, I was just running into the spikes. That was a mistake. But I was telling you guys earlier, I have a really, really good example of getting out of danger. This is it. So I'm blowing my charge to create a gap. Before using the charge, I had used up my dodges. Right there, I drop a grab well. The thing is, if you're running away, in this game, it's easy to run down people, right? At some point, if you're the person trying to run away like I am, you've got to turn and stall them, right? Either drop CCs on them, drop a grab well. So you can see I'm stopping every few seconds, trying to keep at least one crowd control ability available to use. And I've made it all the way back the Outpost. I was 99% sure I was going to die, especially this brute is now beating on me. But now it's like just me and Cream. Okay, well actually Respect is coming. He's a healer, a heavy healer, like kind of like a paladin. I'm not going to be able to kill anything while he's there unless I get help. I guess the problem is too, I burn through pots like water. It's totally worth it, if you want to maximize your chances of winning. And we didn't, when we queued in this, we queued as 4 melees, or at least 3 melees and 1 dex player. And so it's not like we had any healing to speak of. But I believe it's everyone's job to make their healers' jobs easier, both in terms of your positioning, not overextending, peeling for your healers when they're in trouble. Okay, here come the 3 CC. Number 1. So that's Shockwave. Oh, he got out. I've still got 2 more, so use Reap there for the gap closer. That's what I love about this build. Even though the Great Axe lunge is getting nerfed, that really shouldn't impact me too much based on the way that I play. And then they are nerfing the damage to Reap, which is a little bit of a bummer, but it is what it is. It's okay. I think Great Axe, because of its utility, is still going to be super valuable, and it'll still hit hard. Right? I think they're also reducing the crit modifier from 1.4 down to 1.3, which is fair. That's in line with other weapons. I don't know why Great Axe was 1.4 to start with. Alright, so the score's still really close, but we've taken control of mid. If they make a concerted push behind their brute, they can easily recap it. So trying to get people's attention. So Dragon and I are going to go fight the brute. We got to keep him in combat, because if he goes too far into resets, he'll get back all of his health. Now, just the two of us, we can sit here and do this as long as red team doesn't become aware, because if we try to fight even one other person while the brute is up, that is not going to happen. Not going to go well for us. And then pretty much I realized soon, like, I'm trying to stay behind the brute, but I think I've got a lot of the aggro. I can't get flanking attacks on him. I'm trying to use the Warhammer abilities to keep the brute debuffed. You can see people, some people in chat are already thinking that we're going to lose. So I'm trying to communicate with Draginov here. He's one of the guys in my company. Let's pull the brute over to the door, right? Because then people will see him who are just hanging out and chilling in the middle of the fort. You see people are coming out now. Let's dogpile this brute and get him burned down while we've got a window. Now, the second they roll in force, even 3 or 4 players, we can't do this with the brute, right? Because once the brute CCs a group of people, they're very susceptible to getting CC'd and downed. This isn't necessarily, you know, a great situation for me because I have the brute's aggro, but at least, you know, I am more durable than other people. And I'm using my Warhammer because I've got a passive 10% damage reduction while I've got it up. But you can see, like, the brute's hit points are nuts. Like, we've probably had a good 8 people beating on him for the last 30 seconds now, and we're only now just getting to finish him off. And this really couldn't be timed any more perfectly. You can see the red team has pushed into the middle now. Now we're freed up. We don't have to worry about getting yo-yoed and meatballed. And there's one, there's my second Warhammer, the CC. Come here and use my third one, because I haven't used it yet. Now okay, I'm trying to just finish off Mirror Moon. I play must have had the hatchet buff, and then with respect here, I'm going to go ahead and trap him underneath the stairs. You make sure to keep that healer from surviving. Super dangerous. And then this player just dogpiling and preventing from getting out of the outpost. You can see, like, this is what I really appreciate about New World PvP combat. There's so much in terms of, you know, awareness and flanking, ability timing, positioning, that make the game very, very dynamic. Okay, that AoE pull is so annoying. Alright, we can't, now they've summoned a brute on the other doorway, which is on their side, and so it doesn't really make sense for us to fight out there unless we think we can get some, see, like, you can see some of our people are starting to kill outside of the doorway. And this guy Maldar Drake on their team, maybe, yeah, I think he was actually body blocked by his own brute, so we're able to finish him off. Obviously, if you are a melee and you are waiting for something to happen, stand to the sides of the doorway. Stand preferably out of line of sight so that your healers can still heal you, but you're not susceptible to the ranged DPS. It'll even protect you from that AoE pull by the brute. Now, the good thing is, because we have such a big fight here, we are nuking the doorway, so the brute is going down. But we can only really safely do this because Red's not able to push in. I mean, the smart play by Red, given the numbers that they have, just go around to the other side, attack us from the rear, because we would get pulled even if we engage them back to this side by the brute. You see, I'm being really careful, and I think this is the main thing. This goes all the way back to when I started my channel with Lotra, Lord of the Rings Online. When I played on Landreval, that was the RP PvP server, really good community, a lot of really good PvP players on both sides. The Orc Reavers, you guys may remember this if you followed my stuff back then. Everyone played the Orc Reavers like suicide players. They would just charge in and they died. And I basically helped to establish a different meta where you would build your Reaver to be really, really tanky, because they had one ability that would hit super hard on a cooldown. And the main thing was just about uptime, right? And so in this particular game, you know, in New World, I'm opting to not have a heavy build, but I have enough mitigation and tons of CC and tons of movement abilities, right? And so that's how I'm able to manage my uptime. And then the other thing, obviously, is you want to make sure to watch situations. Like right now, it's okay for me to push in like this. We've got them on the run. This Dex player you know, is just trying to get away, but I don't want to push any further. I'm getting hit by, probably by range TPS. And here's the fight I can help out. Drop the grab well, Shockwave, Wrecking Ball, and then the clear out misses, but, you know, we put these guys into an HP deficit so they're easy to finish off. And then, you know, rotating clockwise here just to get back into line of sight of the healers to make sure they're not getting bullied, and also to give me some heals. This is one of the guys who got me earlier. I think he got me, he might have got me, he got me the first kill. Yeah, my first death was, he got me in the doorway, and then he might have actually gotten the second one too, I'm not sure. The maps are pretty well designed in terms of the amount of like territory line of sighting that you can do. The only thing here is I need to be careful and exit immediately. So I do 3 consecutive dodges. That burns my stamina pool, so I can't dodge until it refills. But the important thing was drop my CCs, get out of there, because you know, you can tell there's a lot more red than blue, and because I didn't have charge available, if they CC me, root me, like put a grab well, I'm most likely going to die. Okay, and you know, this is the thing, is telling people like, look, we don't need to actually do anything. It's incumbent on them. Because knock the guy away from the door so he can't exit. Body block him, he has to come through me, around me, and then I drop a grab one. It's hilarious. He was so close to getting out. But you know, in a situation like this, like, all we need to do is just chill on these 2 points, chill on mid. Like, they're the ones we're going to have to do something now, and when they had the brutes, they had so many opportunities to wipe us if they just played in a way to leverage the brutes. So you're dropping my CCs, this is helping to peel for Drac and for Don. We're doing a good job between the 3 of us getting some of their players down. Anita's here too. So these are all people from my company. It's actually really, you know, it's interesting because I originally rolled on a server to play with a content creator from Elder Scrolls Online. So that was actually a game that I picked up during the pandemic last July, and then played for about 13 months. And I love that game. I would have told you before New World that Elder Scrolls Online was the best MMORPG that I played up to this point. But the dev, ZeniMax, just released some completely broken sets in PvP that made it face roll, right? They released this set called, what was it called? I'm blanking on, there's Hrothgar's Chill, and then this other one. But one of these sets, what it would do, when you cast a ground AoE, it would create an effect that would pull people in, stun them, slow them, pull them in after a couple seconds, and then at the expiry of the AoE, deal damage based on how close you were to the center. Dark Convergence, that was the name. It was so bad. I mean, like, ZeniMax could not have dropped the ball bigger on Elder Scrolls Online before the launch of New World, right? Because they basically created a context where a lot of diehard Elder Scrolls Online PvP players were really, really frustrated with what ZeniMax was doing, whereas New World looked like a much more skill-based offering, and it totally is. By the way, I'm getting low on hit points. You're going to see me, I'm just going to get out. Burn a health pot there, and as soon as I'm out of the CC, I guess I'm going to help beat these people down. But I really should be careful with my health there as well. Getting some great healing from my team, and good grief, they summoned another brute. But with, you know, Elder Scrolls Online, they created enough frustration in the players that a lot of the top streamers and content creators decided to move to New World. Now, New World has had huge issues. So, by the way, so here I've turned to face them because I was rooted. If someone came at me, I would have used my Shockwave to stun them. And then as soon as I can, you can see I use my charge to create a gap. And in this case, I just want uptime. We're 26 points away from winning. I don't want to die anymore. Yeah, so, you know, New World, there really have been a lot of issues in terms of the exploits, the duping. There have been some, you know, broken weapons in terms of things not working the way they were supposed to. You guys know me on my channel for a long time. I don't believe in using exploits or any of that cheese. You know, you win with class or you lose with class, you don't cheat. And frankly, cheating is a crutch, right? And, you know, if you're relying on things that are broken in order for you to win, once those things are fixed, you're going to be SOL. Okay, so that was a pretty crazy game. It's one of those ones where, you know, at various points, it looked like we might lose. People on our team were going to lose, you know. But I finishing tops with 29 kills. about 773,000 damage, and I got close to 1 in 5 kills for our team. Right, mostly achieved by good use of crowd control, positioning, awareness, and keeping my exit lanes open so I could get out. And there's that one really good example where I kited all the way from a remote outpost all the way back to mid, just burning everything that I could to stay alive. But that's what makes this game fun. A situation like that, like I would have assumed probably 9 times out of 10 I would have died for sure. But I got out, and it's fun to be able to show you guys, how I did it. So let me know if you got questions about New World. I might be posting more content. I think the biggest issue with New World, frankly, is just that the game performance is so bad. Like I'm on low settings with capped FPS at 30 just to get to perform decently. That's my #1 bone to pick with the game, and I don't know how much Amazon's going to be able to fix it. Okay, it's good seeing you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Take care.